Top 10 free games on the Quest platform. Doesn't matter whether you're on Quest 2 or 3, you're going to be able to pick up these games and have a great time. Truth be told, on the Quest platform, there are so many amazing games that come at the price tag of $3.99 that you could never have to pay a single penny after buying your headset and still having an amazing time on that headset. Nonetheless though, of course, there's some incredible paid options, and if you want to check out some of those videos, I have them linked down below, or of course in the card up the top, or just visit my channel. There's a ton of awesome content right there. Before we dive into this though, I do ask that one singular favour of you, and that is to smash like, subscribe and all that good stuff, and let's dive into the top 10 best free games for the Quest. Kicking this all off, we have Population 1. This is honestly one of the best battle royales out there currently, as there is some new kids on the block coming up pretty soon, but this is free to play, and of course it's a great game nonetheless. You jump in there, you can get into squads of solos, duos or trios, and you can have an absolute freaking blast. There's even like a free build mode within inside of this now, and you're going to have a great time regardless of what you get up to inside of this game. Now in the main game itself, you can climb, fly, jump, do all the amazing things that you want to be able to do in virtual reality, whilst obviously getting yourself a chicken dinner at the end. Genuinely, Population 1 has remained one of the top games for a very good reason. It's free to play, and it has some amazing cosmetics in there if you're willing to drop some dimes on there as well. So up to you how you want to play the game. You could just be a naked going in there, having a great time, or you can pimp out your character and do some epic stuff with it. Completely down to you. But this game's free nonetheless, so make sure you check it out if you're looking for a battle royale. Next up, we have Blaston. If you want to go in and have a good old match with your friends, this is a great one to go into. It's very much a player versus player game where you get to go in there, whether it's versus your friends or whether it's versus some random on the internet. Nonetheless, this game has a very high ceiling for actually learning how to play it properly. Now on its surface, this looks like a very slow moving game, but actually once you get into this, the mechanics of this lead into a really fun and advanced way of playing the game, depending on how much time you're willing to put into it to learn the game. Very, very cool. It's a shooter against each other, but it's kind of almost like a shooter in slow motion where you're going to be dodging bullets, but of course it gets kind of chaotic the further down the game you go. Have you ever wanted to visit space or even the ISS space station? Well, in this next free game you can. This is Mission ISS. Honestly, I highly recommend that you check this one out, as it's an incredible experience to be had on the Quest, and genuinely it feels like it's transporting you up to space on that space station, doing a fun few missions in a very, very realistic looking experience. Honestly, make sure you check this one out if you haven't. It's free, so there's no excuse. Get out there and give this a try, as it will give you the closest feeling you're probably ever going to experience, as most of us are most likely not going to go to space in our lifetimes. So very, very cool and a unique way to experience it. Next up is Bait. Bait is an incredible game with a good storyline running through it, where of course you get to go fishing and do a bunch of other things as well. There's actually a bunch of little side games in this as well now, and of course it's multiplayer, so you can get in with some of your friends and have a good old time fishing and, you know, catching up some fish, whilst also playing through an actual story and having a great time while you're at it. Honestly, this game is one of those few things that's just genuinely really fun to dive into and have a good laugh in with some friends, or even if you want to go in solo and just absolutely relax. Again, has some incredible environments in it for you to be able to do that with, and honestly, for an example of a free game, this really kind of has it all. They kind of smashed it with it, so definitely a really fun one. High recommend from me. Okay, our next section, I have compiled all the games that you would normally hear on one of these lists, and I'm going to do it in just one singular section. It just counts as 1 out of our 10 games. I couldn't not mention all of these games because honestly someone in the comments would attack me, and I am not about that. But what I will do is mention all of these games in one little nugget, so that you still get to go check these out if you've never heard of them somehow, and of course I'm appeasing the gods of everyone by mentioning these. So anyway, here it goes. Don't forget to check out Rec Room. If you have never heard of Rec Room, it is a recreational game where you get to go in there and play a billion different game modes in one singular place. It is really good fun, but it of course is filled with lots of younger people. But if you can get past that and get a group of good people in there, this is a really, really fun game to go in and have a laugh with a few friends in. Next up is VR Chat. I would be amazed if you haven't heard of either of these two games yet, but nonetheless, VR Chat is one of those ones that you will have seen a million times, memeing stuff and with some incredible things in it. But if you want to get in and meet up with some friends, have some social times, and of course look however you want to, because you can quite literally design your characters to look any way you want, even making them on your PC and then exporting them into the game itself. There is a billion different options for you to be comfortable in your own skin in this game, so make sure you go check this one out if you want to have some good fun social times. Next up is Roblox. Once again, I would be amazed amazed if no one's heard of this, but it is one of the biggest games in all of history, as this has the highest player count I think ever, always online, and of course there's a ton to do in it. Recently it came over to the Quest platform. This is free at the moment, so make sure you check it out for that. And of course there has a ton of VR modes in this. As far as I've been told, as I've only experienced this a little bit myself, the actual flat versions of the games kind of suck, but if you can find some really good VR experiences, apparently they're really good fun, so put it on your list. And last up, but certainly not least, is Gorilla Tag. That is going to do it for the last of this sort of little mini compiled list within a list. But yeah, Gorilla Tag, if you haven't tried it out before, of course it is a phenomenal game, very good fun, where you're going to run around with the motion controllers being essentially your movement skills as you move around like a gorilla, trying to play Tag You're It. Now, of course, there's much more to this game, as it's sort of evolved fairly past that at this point, and there's a lot more social aspect to it, as well as crazy levels and fun things to be able to do within it. But nonetheless, those games are like your set games that I think everyone's heard of before, but I put them on the list just to make everyone happy. Next up is Cards and Tankards. This is actually a massively underrated game in my opinion, as you get to go in there, and if you're a fan of card games, like, you know, sort of like your Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, all those types of things, then you're going to really feel at home when you get into this, as it is a card collecting game, and not only that, but a very social place to be able to do it. You essentially go into like what it feels like a sort of a pub sort of environment, and you go play some cards. This is actually really good fun, and I highly recommend that people check this out. Like I say, it feels like one of those very underrated titles that people don't talk about often enough, but Cards and Tankards is a fantastic example of a good, fun, social experience. Next up is Glass Breakers. This is again another kind of underrated game. I feel like a lot of people should know about this, as it is really good fun. It's made by the people that made Moss, and honestly, this is a really fun game. Get to go in there and tactically fight against an opponent of yours, and the way that you do that is through being very tactical in the way that you move your pieces. It's turn by turn basis type go, and it's essentially the first ones that can put out the lamps within the game is going to win. This is a really fun experience. High recommend from me, and I just think for free, even if it only entertains you for a few nights, you're going to have a good time with this. Make sure you check it out, as it's quite unique, and there is like a good system if you want to progress through this to unlock some dope stuff as you go through it. Next up is Shootout. This is actually a really fun little shooter game. Shootout is a free-to-play hero shooter, and honestly this one is probably the closest you're going to get to something like Overwatch sort of feeling game. It is 3v3 arena fun. You're going to get in there, there's over 1,000 different weapon combinations that can be made with unique attributes and abilities, making you feel like you're playing it your own way. Honestly, it's a mix and match of barrels, modifiers, and of course all the necessaries that you're going to need to be able to destroy the opponents on the opposite team. Genuinely, this is a really fun shooter, and for free, you just can't complain when it gets into this game. So I actually highly recommend that you check this one out. Really good fun, and one to keep on your radar. Next up, keeping in with the shooters, X8. This is a ridiculously fun game. Again, giving you that really sort of Overwatchy type feel to a game, where the player embodies a variety of different heroes engaging in a 5v5 VR battle. You get to do a bunch of cool things in this, from getting super cool powers that are like attributes to each of the characters that you're going to be able to pick within a game, and genuinely leads to a really fun time. This is a good game, and 5v5 is like a really nice number to be able to fight against people in, so check it out if you're interested. Last up on the list is Elixir. Now this is a fantastic example of a hand tracking game, so you can pop those controllers down for this one, free up the hands, and of course jump into making some incredibly cool spells. Now this is a very short game, but it's one I feel like everyone should experience at some time or another on the Quest, as you actually get to do a bunch of spells that manipulate and change your hands into various different things, whether it gives you squiddy fingers or Wolverine claws. There is so much fun to be had in this, and honestly it feels just amazing to be able to actually see just how good the hand tracking is on the Quest 2, 3, and of course Pro. Regardless of what Quest you have, this is actually an incredibly fun experience to be able to have for free. Now that is going to round up our titles for free. If you want to see another 10 titles of this, please do continue to support these types of videos by smashing like, and of course subscribing helps appease the YouTube gods and pushes the channel up in the algorithms. And let me know your favorite free game in the comments down below, because honestly they may not be on this list, and I would be really interested to see if you want. I could maybe make another list and include those games. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed, you know what to do. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out. Goodbye.